The Widow's Hand. Tonight, you'll hear a story that no one else saw coming. A London widow, a dead man in her bathtub, and a truth buried beneath her tears. Before we dive into the mystery, make sure to subscribe to The Silent Case and hit that like button. It was raining that night. Not a gentle drizzle, but the kind of cold, heavy rain that makes London look like it's dissolving in its own reflection. The kind that hides sins in the gutter and whispers secrets in the dark. I got the call just past 11. A widow in Kensington found a man in her bathtub dead. When I arrived, the house was silent except for the ticking of a clock somewhere deep inside. Steady, patient, almost mocking. The front door hung open, her umbrella lying in a puddle on the marble floor. She was in the hallway, trembling. "Detective, I don't know who he is," she said. Her voice was thin like smoke. I stepped inside. The scent hit first, iron and lavender, blood and perfume, a contradiction that never lies. The bathroom door stood ajar. Inside, under the flicker of a dying bulb, a man's body slumped in a clawfoot tub filled with pink water. His eyes open, his expression surprised, almost betrayed. And on the tiled floor, a single glove, a woman's glove, black silk, left for someone to find. Her name was Evelyn Harrow, 42, widow of Charles Harrow, a property magnate who died the year before under what the papers called unfortunate medical complications. She lived alone now in that grand house overlooking Hyde Park, a monument to grief and expensive loneliness. She told me she'd come home from the theatre, drawn herself a bath and found him there, already dead. Said she'd never seen the man before. But something in her tone didn't fit. She wasn't panicked, not really. She was performing panic. The tremble in her hand was half a beat too slow. The tears were perfectly placed. I asked for her alibi. She said she'd gone to see the mousetrap alone. She even had the ticket stub still warm in her pocket. Too warm, perhaps. When the crime scene team arrived, one of them called out from the hall, "Detective, you should see this." On the dressing table, neatly arranged beside a mirror, was a photograph. A man shaking hands with Charles Harrow, the same man who now lay dead in her bathtub. His name was Thomas Vale, business partner to her late husband. Their firm had collapsed 6 months ago after a series of financial scandals. And the widow, it seemed, had been left penniless. Or so everyone thought. I looked around the room again. Everything was too precise. The bed made, curtains drawn, not a single object out of place, except for one thing. The glove on the bathroom floor. Its pair was missing. I asked her about it. She looked straight at me and said, "Detective, that's not mine." Her voice was calm now, collected, but her eyes gave her away. She'd rehearsed that line before. That's when I noticed something else, a painting above the fireplace, a portrait of her and her husband, his hand resting on hers. But her left hand in the portrait was gloved. The next morning, the newspapers were already circling like vultures. "Widow's bath of blood," one headline read. "London loves a tragedy it can sip with its morning tea." At Scotland Yard, I started piecing together what little we had. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, no footprints except hers. Thomas Vale had been poisoned, aconite mixed in whiskey, a slow burning death. He hadn't drowned, he'd been placed there after. So why the bathtub? Why the theatrics? There was a pattern, but it was buried deep. Then one of my men found something strange. The last call from Vale's phone to Evelyn Harrow. The night before he died. She'd told me she'd never met him. I went back that evening under the same relentless rain. She opened the door in black silk and a faint smile. "Detective Dune," she said, "you've come to accuse me again." "No," I said, stepping past her, "just to listen." The house was quiet, but it felt rehearsed, like a stage waiting for its next act. I asked her about Vale. She paused at the liquor cabinet, poured herself a drink and said, "He ruined my husband, stole everything from him, drove him to despair." I let her words hang in the air. The fireplace crackled, filling the silence with its soft, consuming hiss. "Did you kill him?" I asked. She turned, glass in hand, eyes glinting under the firelight. "No, detective, but I wish I had." Her tone was so steady it chilled the air. Then she added, almost to herself, "Some men deserve to drown in their own lies." It wasn't a confession, and not exactly, but it was close enough to one that I could hear the truth breathing behind it. Back at the yard, I dug deeper into her husband's death. The coroner's report had ruled it natural, but the symptoms, cardiac arrest, convulsions, They matched aconite poisoning. Vale and Harrow had both died from the same rare toxin a year apart. One had been buried as a tragedy, the other exposed as a crime. Someone was tying up loose ends. But it didn't feel like vengeance anymore. It felt like art. Then came the detail that cracked the silence. The missing glove, found at Vale's flat in his desk drawer. Inside it, a letter, signed by Evelyn Harrow, dated the week before her husband's death. If anything happens to Charles, you'll know why. It wasn't evidence of guilt, it was something else, bait. I went back a third time. This time she didn't look surprised to see me. "You've been busy," she said, leading me into the drawing room. I told her about the glove, the letter, the aconite. She didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled, faint, knowing, almost tender. "Thomas was supposed to deliver that letter," she said, "but I suppose he had other plans." I waited. She went on, her voice slow and deliberate. "My husband trusted him, trusted everyone. When he died, they all took their share, the partners, the lawyers, the friends. But Thomas took the rest, the accounts, the evidence, the lies. I let him keep them, for a while." Her hand brushed the mantel, where that portrait still hung. "I didn't kill him, Detective. He came here, begged for forgiveness. I poured him a drink. He drank it too fast. I didn't stop him." "Why the bathtub?" I asked quietly. She looked at me then, truly looked at me. "To make it clean," she whispered. "You can't wash away guilt, but you can try." It was over, at least on paper. No fingerprints but hers. No confession that would hold. Every thread of truth was tied into a neat, impossible knot. The inquest ruled it accidental. The papers lost interest. And Evelyn Harrow returned to her quiet house by the park. But I couldn't let it go. A month later, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside, a single photograph. The painting, the same one above her fireplace, only now her left hand to the gloved hand was bare. The ring that once marked her as a widow was gone. There was a note scrawled beneath it in delicate handwriting. "You were right, Detective. Some stories need to end twice. I sometimes walk past that house when the fog rolls in. The lights are always off. The curtains never move. But sometimes when the wind shifts, you can smell lavender, faint and lingering like memory refusing to fade. They say she sold everything, moved to the coast. But I've seen her once, reflected in a train window, watching the rain. And when I looked again, she was gone. The case is closed, officially, but in my notes it's still marked unsolved. Because the truth isn't about who killed whom. It's about who wrote the ending. And Evelyn Harrow, she didn't just survive her story. She authored it. If you enjoyed this story, let us know your favorite part in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to The Silent Case so you never miss a secret the world doesn't know.